In this episode of Free Mama Radio, I'm giving you 5 ways to eliminate decision fatigue as a busy working mom.
You're listening to Free Mama Radio, where we believe you can have both a successful business and show up as the mom you want to be. I'm your host, Lauren Golden, a mom who built a full-time income working part-time hours. Now, I help other moms like you learn how to work from home on your own terms, take control of your schedule, and make more money so you can live a totally awesome, guilt-free life. I am on a mission to make sure that no mother has to choose between family and financial stability. So if you've been wondering, can I really have it all? This podcast will give you the answers.
Welcome back to Free Mama Radio. I'm so excited for today's episode because it is an episode by request. What do I mean by that? I mean, I had a bunch of things showing up in the universe and I'm like, we can talk about this, we can talk about that. In case you are new, I have a lot of soapbox items. So things like time management, I like to talk about, anything related to business, marketing, parenting. I've got opinions. I've got some things to say. I have lots of opinions on a lot of different things. And I'm sitting here and I'm experiencing what actually we're talking about on today's episode, which is decision fatigue. I'm like, I've got all these different ideas and I can't pick one. And so I made a post over on Facebook. If you are not in our community, what are you waiting for? Look up the Free Mama Movement on Facebook. That is my favorite place to hang out. You can tag me. I'll hang out with you. I'll answer your questions. I respond to every single post that I get a notification for. So tag me and we'll hang out and be friends. But I posted in the group and I'm like, hey, I'm just not sure what to talk about today. And one of the OG Free Mama is somebody who's become a friend of mine in the Free Mama community, not just on the internet, but in real life. Cassandra Jones, commented, and she had a really, really great idea, which actually I'm going to read to you what she said so we can set the premise for this episode. She said, how can you minimize non-essential decision-making? Non-essential decision-making. An example of that would be Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook's founder, Mark Zuckerberg, and his gray t-shirts, right? Like people who just do the same thing every single day. I think they're actually sweatshirts, but maybe they're t-shirts, as the free mama and as a free mama in general. So how do we minimize non-essential decision-making? The truth is, we have to make a whole lot of decisions every single day. And for moms, I'm pretty sure it's even worse. In fact, we actually make thousands of decisions every single day. I just Googled it and it says it is estimated that the average adult makes about 35,000 remotely conscious decisions every single day. So whether that's at the grocery store and you're like, what brand do I buy? Or do I take a shower or not today? If you're me, the answer is probably no. We have some hygiene concerns that linger from my days going to an all-girls high school. We're working on it. But we've got lots of things to think about, right? Like, are we having eggs for breakfast or oatmeal for breakfast? What are we making for dinner tonight? What time are we going to have dinner? What am I going to wear today? Like, those are those non-essential decisions. Now, you got to eat. You probably shouldn't walk around naked. Like, we have to make these decisions. But I think what CJ's getting at is, I got other stuff to worry about. Like, I'm trying to build a business. Maybe you're now homeschooling your children. Like, the world is absolutely crazy. And we've got enough to worry about that we don't need to be maxing out on decision fatigue. And so how do we minimize this idea of having to make so many choices, 35,000 on average in a single day? How do we balance this so that we don't get fatigued? We don't get to a point where our brain just shuts down and we can't make a decision at all. And the reason I love this question is because, number one, I think everybody faces this at some point in their lives. Moms, hands down, but I'm pretty sure every person does. And it's a great topic, not just for life and women and free mamas and business owners, which is who we are here, but it's a really great conversation in business in general, because the same thing happens when we run a business and we're selling to someone else. So maybe you're having a discovery call with a client and you're showing them 5 different social media packages. Did you know that that person is less likely to buy from you, one of those, sign up as a client, if you give them too many choices? Typically, we need to just, in business, guide people towards the right choice. Maybe it's A or B, 1 or 2, but when you give someone a ton of choices, they don't know what to do. And if you've ever heard the amazing Catherine Jones and her training that she does on design hacking and funnels, and she teaches you what the difference is between a funnel and a website, it's the same thing. Funnels eliminate decision fatigue. When you go to a website that has 14 things at the top in its menu, and you're like, I don't even like, why did I come to this page? There's too many choices, and you're clicking around. Statistically, you are much more likely to leave that page without doing anything than you would be if you went to a funnel, which is still a website. It still has a URL, but on a funnel, the difference is you have two choices: click the button or leave. That's it. Like, you're staying and going on to the next step, or you're Xing out altogether. And that's it. And the reason funnels are so much more effective than websites is because of this topic, decision fatigue. So CJ is asking, how do I personally, as the free mama, as she said, and a free mama, meaning all of us together, how do we minimize non-essential decision making? And I came up with 5 ways that I do this in my own life. And we are a work in progress, okay? The collective we, me, you, we're all a work in progress. But over the years, these are definitely the ones that I've had to master to experience as little decision fatigue as possible. And actually, we could add a secret 6th one, which I'm going to tell you about at the end, because I didn't even write it down, but it's actually the one that I did today. Okay, so I just made a note right as we're recording so that I don't forget to tell you the secret 6th thing that we do to minimize non-essential decision making. So number 1, let go. Not let it go like Elsa. We're in Frozen. Like, we're going to do an episode, by the way, on Disney movies. I need to write that down. We're going to do an episode of Free Mama Radio on Disney movies, because there are so many valuable lessons, especially in the Frozen movies. So that's going to happen. So not let it go, but let go. What do I mean by let go? Your way of doing things is not the right way. Hear that again, mama. Your way of doing things is not the right way. It is not the only way. It's just your way. So one way that I've really transformed over the last since being married, but definitely since having children, and definitely since having children who are old enough to have and voice opinions, is I've just let go of certain things. So I've let go of the dishwasher having to be loaded the way I want it to be loaded, right? I let my kids do that chore. Why? Because it's one less thing that I don't have to do. It's non-essential decision making. It just doesn't matter that much. It doesn't matter if the plates go on top in the kids' cabinet or on the bottom with the bowls or with the cups and they're all mixed. It just doesn't matter, right? I could make it matter, but by doing that, I'm tapping into those 35,000 choices that I have to make every day. And I don't want to do that, because for me, where the plastic Tupperware goes in the cabinet is not worthy of my fatigue, because every decision we make throughout the day, it's going to take some of our energy. So let your kids do the chores. Let them decide what's for lunch. Of course, you can guide them. We're not having brownies every day for lunch, right? But give them some guidance. Do you want a turkey sandwich, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or a hot dog? Cool. Pick a fruit and a veggie. That's something I say every day in my house. What do you guys want? Cool. Let's get that started. Go pick a fruit or a veggie. And because I've done the front end work to kind of, I hate to use the word train my children, but to train my children, they know the fruits and veggies are in the low shelf. They can all reach it. Even Audrey, she's 3. Audrey can open the refrigerator, open the bottom shelf, and get out carrots and find the bottle of ranch. She can do this all by herself. So let go, let them do it. Let your kids dress themselves, okay? Like let certain things go that you have defined for you and your life are non-essential decision making. Because I love the way that this question was asked. It means that you all already recognize that you're making decisions in your life every day that are non-essential. Cool. So once we establish what those are, let go and let other members of your family or members of your team, let them step in on those so that you can prioritize the essential decision making that you need to do that is going to move you closer to your goals as identified by you. The second thing that I do is I simplify. So like I keep things really, really, really simple in my business, in my home, in my life, in my relationships. I like routines. I like schedules. I don't like to try a whole lot of new like products or new foods. Now I do when I go to a restaurant or if we order Uber Eats, that's kind of my time to explore. and tap into some new decisions. But at our house, we eat a lot of the same thing. I cook salmon the same way. Now, if you love cooking, this to you might not be non-essential. This might be something that's very important to you. But for me, it's just not essential. So like we're having tacos, we're having salmon. I'm not trying a ton of new recipes. I know what to buy at the grocery store. I know how to cook it. I can do these things on routine, on autopilot. I'm buying the same toothpaste. I use the same, I found a skincare I like. I'm using the same one. I wear a lot of the same things. I don't go buy a bunch of clothes and accessories or even things for my house because I don't like a lot of clutter, like physical things. I like to keep the things on my desk very simple. So just by keep things simple. Don't make things harder than they have to be. And the good news is, this is also good business advice, just like what we're talking about for decision fatigue. So what does it look like to keep things simple in your business? Well, don't try to master 15 software programs. Master one. Pick one software program that you can get really good at. Niche down, specialize in one particular skill. Why does this help with decision fatigue and non-essential decision making? Well, if you are casting a really wide net, and for one person you're building a website, and for another person you're doing social media management, and for another person you're their virtual assistant focusing on admin, and for someone else you're doing project management with regards to a new e-commerce product launch, that's a lot of different things. You're having to switch gears in your brain so many different times throughout the day. And that takes energy and it takes brain power. And what we don't acknowledge is that it actually also takes time, because these transitions are not instantaneous. Even though we feel like they might be, our brain doesn't move that fast. Even if it's a matter of seconds or minutes, it's having to take time to pivot and adjust. So when you simplify your offerings, you simplify the work that you're focused on in a single day, and you just keep things simple, you're not going to have to make as many decisions, and you're not going to be as likely to fatigue. Okay. So number one, let go. Number two, simplify. Number three, do not procrastinate and use your daily 5. I think a lot of people end up feeling fatigued and exhausted and like they just can't decide one more thing because they keep putting things off. And we put things off for a lot of reasons. Sometimes it's out of alignment. Sometimes it's out of lack of knowledge. We don't know how to do the thing, right? So it feels intimidating. A lot of times it's mindset stuff. Sometimes it's a lack of motivation. So there's several reasons we procrastinate, but a way that I avoid decision fatigue, and a way that I always make sure I focus on essential decision making rather than non-essential decision making, is because I always, always, always do the important things first. Always. In my business, in my family, in my life. So actually tomorrow you are going to want to go check out Free Mama TV, because we've got an episode coming out over on YouTube at Free Mama TV about homeschooling and being a working mom. So a recent example of this right now is I had to actually shift my entire life, my entire schedule to being a homeschooling teacher, mom in the morning and working on my business in the afternoon. But that doesn't come naturally to me because I used to work in the morning. I used to work from 9 to 1. That's when I'm fresh. That's when my brain was on and my children didn't used to be here. But for me, I know that I need to do the important things in my life first. And for me, my business is incredibly important to me. It's my mission. I think it's the reason I'm on this planet. And my children are the most important thing to me. And so I want to make sure they're getting my most energy, not what's left over. I don't want to have decision fatigue on how to engage with my children and give them an education. Now, the good news is when you're homeschooling, it's not going to take 8 hours. So I'm able to do that in a few hours. I give myself a whole 30 minutes to an hour to switch tasks. Because like we talked about in number 2, simplifying, it takes time and energy and a conscious decision to take off one hat and put on another. And so I give myself a lot of time, and I do this while eating. So I'm physically replenishing my body before I switch gears. And that way I can come back fresh and ready to engage in the second activity. But even when I sit down to do my work, I'm always doing the most important things first. So what that means is I am consciously choosing on my calendar, like on a schedule type level, to use my brain power for stuff that matters. which is really the point of this question to begin with. How do you minimize non-essential decision making? Well, quit dealing with that stuff first. Don't prioritize it, right? So don't procrastinate. Use your Daily 5. If you're not familiar with the Daily 5, it is my favorite time management tool that I created and I teach. We'll drop a link over in the show notes. So after you listen to this episode, make sure you head over to freemamaradio.com so you can get a link and download the Daily 5 and start using it, so that you can start using your brain power for stuff that matters. All right, number 4, write stuff down. I'm going to say that again, write stuff down. Here's the deal. You are going to have to make a lot of decisions every day. You're going to have to make a lot of non-essential decisions during the day. Don't prioritize them just because they come up. Write it down. Like, let's say you realize, oh my gosh, we're out of peanut butter and I need to write that down so that I don't forget it from the grocery store. Cool, write it down. But don't stop everything you're doing and like get online and look for it in Amazon's pantry, or like get in your car and immediately go drive and do it. Just make a note that you need to do it. Just write it down. So I write stuff down in the shower, or write stuff down on my computer, or write stuff down all the time, because the truth is having 3 babies ruined my short-term memory and I'm probably never getting it back. But because I write things down so I don't forget it, I can prioritize it at a later time. Because non-essential decision making is you're still gonna have to do some of these things, right? Like, that's adulting. I always say millennials invented the word adulting. We turned it into a verb, right? And part of adulting is non-essential decision making, right? Like, I gotta write this check, I gotta pay the bill. Are we gonna pay it from this account or that account? Are we gonna pay it on this day or that day? There's non-essential decisions being made constantly, but it doesn't mean that you should be doing it right then and there. So write stuff down, and that will really assist you. Number 5, master your mindset. And what I mean by that in this particular instance of decision fatigue is stop second guessing yourself. Okay. A lot of women that I've coached inside the Free Mama community, you make a decision, you're on a coaching call with me, or you're in a Facebook group and you're asking for feedback and you're like, yeah, cool, I'm going to specialize in this, or this is now my ideal client, or whatever the thing, like I'm going to enroll in this mastermind, or I'm going to go to this event, or I'm going to make an Instagram story today, or whatever the thing is you're deciding you're going to do. You decide you're going to do it. So you've made the decision. However, you are exuding a whole lot more time and energy because you start second guessing yourself. And what if this isn't good enough? And oh, I didn't say the right thing. And maybe I shouldn't post that. And let me do it for a 14th time. You want to talk about the word fatigue. There's no wonder you're exhausted. There is no wonder you're exhausted because you keep second guessing yourself. All right. So go back to numbers 1 and 2. Quit making things harder than it has to be. Let go. You're not going for perfection in life when it comes to making decisions. Make a decision and stick with it and own it, and then follow through with action. Because the beautiful thing about making decisions is you can always change your mind later. Make another decision that sets you on another path. You're not married to the decisions you make. Commit to them with action. And if and when they truly do not work after you've given it enough time and energy, that's when you can pivot with another decision. But using all of your mental energy, second guessing yourself, you're really just fatiguing yourself even faster. So you're not going to be as effective with your future decisions for the day. All right. Now, here's your bonus. Here's your secret number 6 that I wrote down. Let other people make decisions for you. Let other people make decisions for you. If it's a non-essential decision-making thing, the first example I can think of is whenever I have a date night with my husband, it's always like, where do you want to go for dinner? And in fact, this just doesn't even happen on date night. This happens just for dinner, right? It's like, what do you want for dinner tonight? No, what do you want for dinner tonight? Like all these non-essential, let someone else decide. Let someone else decide and empower them to truly decide. Meaning, if your husband says, cool, let's go for hamburgers, don't say, no, I really wanted tacos. Like, that's not cool. You're training them not to help you with these non-essential decision-making things. So tell them you mean it. Say, I am fatigued. I've made too many decisions today. I'm coming to you for help. I need you to make this decision for me. Ask for help and let them actually help you. Let other people make the decision for you, whether it's your child, your friend, your parent, your spouse, someone, an accountability partner. When you no longer have the capacity to choose because it just is not that important or you just don't care anymore, ask for help and let someone else decide for you. But again, you got to let go. You got to actually train them that when you let them decide that you're going to follow through with their decision and not not take it seriously, right? So there you go. There are your 5 plus a bonus tip for how to overcome decision fatigue and how I minimize non-essential decision making as a free mama. Thank you as always for tuning into this episode of Free Mama Radio. If you liked it, please take a screenshot on your phone or wherever you're listening to this podcast and share it and tag me over on Instagram at Lauren Golden Free Mama. And as always, I will reshare it in my stories as well. See you next time.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Free Mama Radio. Don't forget to check out Free Mama TV right here on YouTube for hundreds of how-to videos and interviews to help you start, grow, and scale a virtual business from home. If you want to join a community of tens of thousands of moms just like you, make sure you join the Free Mama Movement group over on Facebook. And lastly, if you want to learn more about how we can do this together, work to achieve your goals, and make you our next success story, check out my free training at thefreemamamovement.com. I'll see you next time.